So, Tom, by pure coincidence, you and I actually ended up at the same Yankee game earlier this year.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I was apparently at your first game, right? That was your first.
That was my first. That was my first.
And I know you weren't like you were kind of looking to get out of it. I watched the video and you were like looking, I don't know, I'm a little tired, that kind of thing. And you end up and you really liked the experience. But what did you think of the sport itself, baseball?
Um, in all honesty, I
Mhm.
don't really know what's going on.
Fair.
I was sat pretty close and I respected that you can really see the skill level, I think, when you sat like they are launching that ball rapid, really fast. And the other guy's got to hit it. Like you can see how fast it is when you're up close, you know what I mean? It's not like watching it on TV. I was like,
Mhm.
wow, this is unreal. As far as the game, I don't know what's going on, to be honest. One guy throws it, the other guy tries to whack it. If he does, they run around and try and catch it and throw it back like that. That's my knowledge on it. Do you know what I mean? But I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Definitely go again.
Uh, Honestly, it sounds like you got it. That's more or less it. There's details in there, but you more or less got it. Now, I saw you got to go home with an Aaron Judge jersey, number 99, who's, he's the premier power hitter in the game of baseball. He's the one who hits it, most often over that wall. He's bigger than you, though. I don't know if you knew this. He's 6'7", 282 pounds.
Wow. No, I didn't know.
He
I
is
didn't know that.
yeah, oh yeah, he's a giant. I mean, you still beat him in a fight, let's be real. But as far as going over to his sport, have you ever tried to hit a baseball?
Yeah, I have actually. I have.
Okay.
I got some family in Canada, and I know that Canada is not as big. It's not as big in Canada as it is in the US. But
They have a
um,
team.
yeah, well, they had some. What do you call them? Batting cages? Is that right?
Batting cages, that's right.
We had some of them, and I had a few goals in there. Yeah, many years ago now, a few years ago, but I enjoyed it.
But how did it go? I mean, how'd you do? Like, did you connect or what?
Not very well. I don't. I don't think. I mean, I
That's all
tried
right.
my best. I tried my best. That's
That-
all you could do.
That's all you can do. That's all you can do. It'd just be like Aaron Judge trying to fight you. It's the same thing. Uh,
Exactly.
Now, obviously, you not the last time you were in New York, but kind of the bigger time you were in New York, you won the interim heavyweight title. Now you've made a few trips to the city. What has surprised you the most about New York City?
Right, so I had a little bit of an inaccurate experience the first time I went to New York because the first time I went to New York was when I fought for a title, and basically they put us on Times Square, which for anyone who doesn't know is quite literally the busiest street in the world. Um, and I thought that was New York. Do you know what I mean? I thought that's what New York was: busyness, loudness, people, just full on, non-stop madness. So that was my experience, and obviously I was fighting that week, so I was quite overwhelmed as it is. I'm fighting at short notice on the other side of the world. It's stressful, all the rest of it. The second time I went back when I wasn't fighting, I really got to see New York like for real, and really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. I like it a lot. There's a lot of good food there, which I enjoyed. There's a lot of good bars there. The people, the local people are great. I know there's a lot of tourists and foreigners there as well.
Such as
Uh,
yourself.
Yeah, like me. Yeah, yeah, of course. Central Park's amazing. I mean, yeah, we had a great time the second time we went, actually. Really enjoyed it.
And again, you were in New York when you won that championship, so you had to bring it back home to your family over in England. And I recall you saying your oldest son is starting to get like a kind of a grasp of the sport a little bit. I think he had some advice for you in that ahead of that fight, right? If I'm recalling correctly.
Yeah, yeah, he likes to give little bits of advice. Yeah, yeah.
So how did the kids react when they got to see the belt?
They were happy with it, but little kids. They're happy for 5 minutes and then they move on to something else.
Mm.
So I remember specifically coming and showing my kid my belt, and then he wanted to show me his new book straight after it. So it didn't last that long.
Hey, you know what? That's mutual. I get that. I got kids too, so I know how to deal with
Yeah,
this. Now you
yeah,
put on a,
yeah.
a bit of a poker face ahead of that fight. It was on short notice, but you were barely training. You were injured, you said afterward, and we didn't really know that going in. And obviously you got the job done. How is your body holding up this time relative to last time?
Oh, I feel a lot better. Trust me, on fight week this week, in comparison fight week this time in comparison to fight week last time, I'm like a different person. My stress levels were very, very high last time, having to deal with all that stuff that I dealt with, and fighting the guy that I was fighting last time and stuff under them circumstances was quite the mental preparation, to be honest. And this time I just feel a lot better about the whole thing.
And it must help. Obviously, you're basically in your backyard here defending it this weekend in Manchester. You haven't fought there since your debut 10 years ago, and I know this is kind of like I think you compared it to this is a steak dinner, right? Like this is kind of the big deal fighting in Manchester for you. How could you have envisioned coming full circle for this moment 10 years ago after your first pro fight?
Yeah, I mean, if I can't enjoy this one, I might as well retire. To be honest, like this is my absolute dream, and there's loads of people say, "Oh, I've got my dreams. I'm trying to follow my dreams." And blah, blah. Like this is my actual dream, and there's a very, very small percentage of people walking around on planet Earth who can actually get to live their real dreams. And for me, this is it. Do you know what I mean? Defending a UFC title in my hometown. That's it. That's my dream. So no matter what happens this weekend, um, getting to this point where I am now, it's all been worth it. Just to experience the walkout that's going to be on Saturday night.
It's really it's full circle in one way. It's also full circle in another because this is Curtis Blaydes, the man who you tore up your knee against in that first fight 2 years ago today, as we speak. Was
Yeah,
that last fight or that first fight between you guys? Didn't really get going at all, but I know you had a lot to deal with physically and mentally. Recovering for that, you overcame a lot, and now you're here. How gratifying is it that it is Curtis you'll get to face for this big fight in your career?
yeah. I mean, this has gone full circle for me. Like you say, this is great. This works out perfect. And I think that me and Curtis need to put this to bed, man. That's what we're gonna do. Curtis is very similar in his thinking to the way I am, from what I know of Curtis, and we're about the fight. Do you know what I mean? We're not about the other stuff, and we were supposed to find out who the better guy was 2 years ago, and we're finally getting it this weekend. So we're both raring to go.
You get the sense that there's a dissatisfaction, even on his end, about kind of the way things worked out because no one got to prove anything that night.
Yeah, I mean, you got to win. You got his win money, which is great. I didn't get that. I got to sit on the couch for a year with a big swollen leg, so he definitely got the better side of it all. But I'm sure he's still not satisfied about it. So we're gonna settle it this weekend anyway.
Right. And his strength is no secret. He's a wrestler, but he has some, recent stand-up knockout victories, some big wins. You're a very well-rounded fighter. We've seen you finish fights in many different ways. Finish-minded, of course, as well. We've seen Curtis go the distance a little bit more often. You also, I just learned, you are the UFC's all-time leader in lowest percentage of time spent on the bottom, just 1 second in your UFC career, by their statistics anyway. So it just now that we have that, like this kind of crazy stat here, we haven't seen your bottom game. How is your bottom game?
Curtis can try me if he wants. We'll see how we get on. We'll see how we go. Yeah, he's doing all right. He's doing okay.
Okay. I mean, how much of your time, like when you're drilling, like over the years, even like, do you practice all of these situations and you just not getting these situations that we see, or what is kind of like your preparation like for those situations?
That's probably where I've spent the most of this camp. Is on my back with guys on top of me. It's not been a very Curtis Blaydes is not a very comfortable guy to train for. Do you know what I mean? You're getting up off your back. See, the way I work it is I work it with multiple training partners. So I'll be starting on bottom. I get them off. The energy that it takes to get a big guy off is, you expend a lot of energy. And then I restart on my back with a fresh partner. Like that, it's exhausting, man. It's just exhausting training for this guy. And I've done everything I can. So we'll see on Saturday how it goes.
I know you're a student of the UFC history, and this is a very rare fight in UFC history because there are so few times in which an interim UFC title was defended rather than unified or dissipated or something like that. I think the only two who've done that are Renan Barão and Andrei Arlovski. Both eventually were elevated to undisputed status. Is that a scenario you could kind of envision happening with this title that you hold?
I'm not really thinking about that, to be honest. I don't really, I'm a bit over that. I just wanna beat Curtis at this point. I'm not really bothered about what happens going forward.
All right, all right. And look, I know you're not focused on anything other than Curtis, but I want to ask about something that kind of happened in the past. In the recent past, there was obviously the whole thing with John Jones, and you had that picture you guys were trying to get. You didn't really want to do a face off, right? Has anything about John, just now that you've had a little bit more of uh, yeah, kind of a relationship in some way now, even if it's not a close one or even a very distant one. But has your opinion of John kind of changed during this time?
No, John's. Uh, I I don't really think much, anything of John. It's not that I don't think much of him. I don't really have an opinion on him. I want to. I'm trying to get a fight with him going. So, how he is as a person is quite irrelevant to me, to be honest.
Sure, sure. Now, I don't know if you're thinking about trying to get a second fight in this year. Obviously, you do have one date here, but are you content to have one fight this year, or would you like to sneak in a second fight?
No, I want to fight twice this year for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
This one in the winter time would be great.
Maybe a return to New York?
That'd be amazing. That'd
hmm
be amazing. Yeah.
All right. Well, and one more question for you, Tom. As far as kind of this fight here, you're a finisher. We've seen you. I think you also have the record for lowest time of fights as well. I think you're average like 2 minutes 10 seconds, right? Curtis has gone that distance. So what do you kind of see for yourself if it gets into those deeper waters?
Well, I've prepared for it the best I can, so I'm sure I'll be fine. But I've not been there yet, so we'll see.